Hey, what's up everyone? It's Zolbeck. Today I'm gonna speak about healing build, mostly about the Void Gauntlet healing build. There's a few different builds that you're gonna see around, and some are better, some are not, and I'm gonna explain why. Like I'm gonna put them in to a scale, maybe 1 to 5 or something like that. I'm gonna start by the one that I think that is the best. This is this one, like the I don't use Putrefying Scream on this one. I don't use Orb of Decay on this one. As you can see, I got Essence Rupture that does great heal. The Void Blade to like do the rend. There's like a 15% rend into that. And then it's make it easy to pop the Void Collar. The Void Collar do descend DPS too. And heal your teammate around. So, most of the time you're gonna see there's a great axe in your group, there's a great sword, there's a dude with a great axe, one with a great sword, there's a dude with vines. The CC lock and the grouping ability are there. So most of the time you won't need a putrefying scream if your group have a good composition overall. If your group have no Gravwell, if your group have no Great Sword and shit like that, it can be harder. Maybe you're gonna be better to put a Scream at that moment, but even then, like, you can just keep that build on and like dog the target one by one, and that's gonna be fine. But I would recommend to always have a Great Axe and a Great Sword in your group. So you can put the mob together and then vine them, shit like that. And yeah, you won't need the Scream. One of the main reason people was using Scream in the past is for the Fortify. Can stack up to 3 times and you get 50% Fortify and there's another 20% Fortify from the Void Blade. So it makes you really tanky. If you start healing and you feel very weak and or you're into a group that the tank have a hard time and the mob just keep turning around and hitting you, well, having a Scream gonna help you, but uh, hitting a mob that have Essence Rupture on gonna give you a leeching ability, and like you're gonna see sometimes there's that fire mutation that when you dodge you gain a dot and then you drop fire on the floor and there's a fire on the floor that is already there. And yeah, if you have some dot and you walk into the fire, it does a lot of DPS. But then if the mob you're gonna hit at that moment have Essence Rupture, you're gonna leech off those mob, and that's gonna like give you the health you are losing by that fire on the floor or the nature or anything that just keeps doing constant DPS. So this is very good. And I would say that this build is mostly for the dungeon with a lot of mud. I'm gonna take Starstone as example. Depths have big pools with a lot of mobs. And you see what I mean. Like, there's some dungeon with way more mob than other. Like, I'm gonna take Savage Divine as example. There, most of the fight are like 2 or 3 mob at times. So, when you're gonna fight into Savage Divine, you can switch the Void Blade for Orb of Decay. Like, if you feel like if you better like this build and you really don't want to play with Void Blade and you think Void Blade is bad, then you can switch with for Orb of Decay. Like, it's fine. I I better like Void Blade because it does decent DPS, you know what I mean? And it's pretty hard to beat. If you have a if you're used to run a like dungeon with a healer that have Void Blade, and then you run dungeon with a healer who don't have Void Blade, you're gonna see big difference. It's 15% trend, so your dungeon gonna last 15% longer if the mob don't have the rend. Uh, but yeah, into the dungeon with less mob, you can put the artifact Void Gauntlet, and then put the rend stack with your life staff and stay distance with the Orb of Decay. There's a rend stack on Orb of Decay, so like you're gonna do Oblivion, Orb, and Rupture, and that can work. Like it's a pretty good build, but yes, you're gonna still do less DPS than with the Void Blade, 100% sure. So yeah, there's the two best build. The best I would say is this one. The second best would be the Orb of Decay, Rupture, and Void Blade. And then if I have to put another one in that category, I'm gonna put two other one, like the old school method that the people was using. In the past, people was using Putrefying Scream, Void Blade, and Oblivion. I'm gonna put it into number three because I really like Void Blade. And yeah, this build was like the main thing was using in the past, but now things change. And then if I have to put another one, it's gonna be the fourth. It's gonna be again, you're gonna put Orb instead of the Void Blade. You're gonna have Oblivion, Scream, and Orb. And yeah, you just rotate between that. So yeah, this is kinda it for the Void Blade. I think like people you're gonna understand what I mean by that. You're gonna have to try it and copy and paste this tree. It's pretty good. You're gonna need some mana potion, shit like that. And you're gonna need to drain yourself with the VG too if you want to constantly keep spamming your ability. And this is a PvP lifestyle build, so don't copy and paste, but you see this one, it's intensify when you're gonna play AoE heal, because I recommend to play AoE heal in 99% of the dungeon. You just drop your AoE on the ground and then you go to VG and then you go back to your life staff and you want to reduce your cooldown as fast as you can with the life staff. So you kinda want to reduce your cooldown with the light attack. So you're never gonna use intensify almost into a dungeon. I think like you can use it, but it's not you will not min-max by doing it. And yeah, for the attribute, it's kinda your choice. You know, I know that there's some people with a lot of magnify on and make things harder. But yeah, like if you put 350 focus, and like 5 to 25 constitution or like 50 constitution, and then you put the rest in intel, you're gonna be sure that what you do is kind of right. And yeah, you can put like even if it's 25 or 50% yeah, or 50% in intel, it's still a good DPS increase. Like I feel like having minimum 50 point in intel can help a lot of your DPS, mostly if you're void blading. If you're not void blading, your DPS is gonna be ass. Then if you're not void blading, you can go all into focus, and that's gonna be fine. So for the gear, since you're gonna run a lot of dungeon, you're gonna drop some harnessing gear that are sometimes really, really bad. I would recommend to just make a set with the void harnessing on it, and then weapon perk, like as much void or anything as you can, even if you don't like have the full set, it's fine. Like you can see on this one, I have the weapon perk orb of protection on it. I did not find the void harnessing piece with it. Like you can craft it if you want. It's kind of a waste, mostly if you're a PvP player. But yeah, if you run dungeon, you see you're gonna get some void harnessing, and then you can just make a set of that at the start, and that's gonna be good for a few dungeon, like the ancient are weak to void. You're gonna see Savage Divine, they have no elemental weakness, so it's gonna be good for that too. And there's some dungeon that you kinda have to switch in the middle, so it's gonna be good for that too. Uh, like you're gonna see there's some dungeon like the Lost dungeon, they are weak to nature, so you can make a set with nature harnessing too on it. And yeah, more you're gonna run dungeon, you're gonna find some better gear with time. The other perk you have on your gear don't really change that much anything. Like you can have Elemental Aversion that I think can be pretty good, Enchanted Ward that is kinda mid, and the best one would be Conditioning. So if you have like it's a nature dungeon, you're gonna have nature conditioning, void harnessing, and elemental aversion or enchanted ward. So yeah, that would be kinda good. There's like shrinking fortification that is kinda medium. It's not really good, but it still does something in PvE. So yeah, most of the stuffs you're gonna have gonna do nothing. Health is kinda bad because your health's gonna be low. You're gonna play between 5 to like 50 con. So having some health kinda change nothing for you. But yeah, like I said at the start, you kinda just want build and that's it. Oh yeah, and freedom is kinda decent. You're gonna see there's the nature mutation that you always get stuck into it, the ice mutation, you always get stuck into it. So yeah, freedom can be really good for that. The VG that depend a lot on the situation, like on the vampiric and nature dungeon, you're gonna want to VG with like plague crit, putrefying scream, and vicious. And on the outer dungeon, you can use the artifact void gauntlet or like mostly backstab DPS void gauntlet. Like less vicious refreshing move is good. Bless, I think it is a great perk. You don't really need it, but it's really good. You're gonna see this one is nice. The thing about Voracious Blade is when you're under 50% health, you're almost better to stop hitting the mob and go heal your teammate, like focus on healing. So maybe leeching would be over Voracious Blade, but yeah, it's still a decent perk. So yeah, mostly that DPS perk, like this one is great. Like perk like that sounds good. And you don't really need like the refreshing move. You always get so much refreshing by just using your VG. That refreshing move, it's kind of mid. So yeah, going for enchanted instead gonna upgrade your DPS. So enchanted or vicious, lifesteal, and bless are kinda what you want. And there's some dungeon like Genesis that you kinda want. Nullify Oblivion, but you are almost better to have it on your armor piece and keep your VG as a DPS thing more than just a healing thing. So yeah, Bless is not a need, but it's very good. Life Stealing and Enchanted would be like some of the best perk ever on the VG. So for the Heart Rune, my favorite is the Fire Kick right there. I think the fire kick is a game changer. You need at least one in your group, and by be like you can cast it from distance. So for the healer, that's pretty good. And yeah, I feel like the fire kick is the best thing. If nobody else in your group have vines, you can use vines, but it's not the best. And same for detonate. You better to embrace your support role and give some empower and enfeebling to your group. The detonate is kind of old method that was great, but it's not it anymore. And if you use stone form, you are kinda throwing. You make every fight last too long, and your group gonna have more chance to die and wipe because you use stone form. So I would not recommend stone form. So on your rain, you kind of want RT, the DPS, and yeah, I don't remember the healing perk that make your healing more powerful. It's gonna be pretty hard to always have the good type of DPS. Like if you fight Corrupted, you're gonna want Arcane, and it's gonna be the same for the harnessing. You want Arcane harnessing, so you kind of want to stay on that uptick and boost your Arcane damage by a ring. And yeah, that sounds kinda it. Like for the rest, you can kinda do almost what you want. Fortified Sacred Ground is great on the life staff for that. Like, it's gonna help your tank to survive because of the fortify. You most of the time you're just gonna drop the Sacred on the ground and then go to your Void Blade. So this is good. Uh, I think by having it on your staff, when you don't use your staff, it wear off. I don't know if they changed it, but yeah. So the orb perk can be pretty good there too. And if you have the orb perk on that, you're gonna put the Sacred Ground on your armor, so it's gonna stay even when you change weapon. So yeah, this is kinda it. I just wanted to speak about healing. I've seen a lot of people doing wrong healing, mostly with the Void Gauntlet build. And like there's some dungeon that you can use Divine Embrace or Splash of Light, but most of the time you're gonna use the AoE build, and if you're not using an AoE build like Beacon, Orb, and Sacred, you're throwing. And into the last dungeon, the last boss of like Savage Divine, you can use a single target and it's gonna be fine. But like if you have the Rupture perk on the Void Gauntlet, like if you have the Refreshing Rupture or just Rupture, you're gonna like your DPS gonna heal from hitting the boss, so they will not need too much of those. But it's still gonna be a lifesaver, mostly if they are new into the dungeon and they don't know when to dodge the mob. But yeah, I did it as a ranged DPS most of the time, and when you range DPS, the last boss of Savage Divine, you don't really need to have like single target on you, and when you're melee hit, well, you're in range of the boss, so beacon are supposed to be enough, and orb, and then like the healer gonna put Sacred Ground on the tank, and then it's gonna use orb and beacon on the DPS, and it's supposed to be fine too. So yeah, at that point, it's more like your what your group want you is what you do. And yeah, Divine Embrace can be good for some boss fight. I'm not against it. It's just like that. So yeah, this is it for this video. I hope you guys like it. If I forget something, you can say it into the comment section. And thanks a lot for watching and supporting this channel. Peace out.